It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. You know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 387. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe.
Hello.
Hello. So how, are you fully recovered?
I am.
That was actually a surprisingly easy recovery for you.
It really was. Like, I feel like I was pretty recovered the last time we recorded, you know?
Agreed.
It was nothing like Big Sur.
For sure.
Yeah, like nothing. I'm getting more sore from the weightlifting workouts I am now doing than I did the entire marathon.
Because that's a bunch of muscles you haven't used in a long time.
Yeah, my body is reminding me of that.
Yes.
But it's
Yes,
so
it is.
nice to do something different.
I bet you were doing so much running and it was so time consuming.
Yes. And
because
so
of your
structured.
Yeah.
Like it was so like, you got to do this on Sundays. You got to do this on Thursdays.
The payoff, as you were seeing,
The
is
payoff
that
was I had a very easy recovery. And although I definitely got tired toward the end, given that it was 26 freaking miles, gotta
0.2.
say that was pretty easy. Pretty easy.
Yeah,
Really. The training made a difference. Huge.
for sure. So if anyone's ever contemplating,
The training makes a difference.
it makes a difference.
Those long
You're doing it
runs-
for a reason.
Those long runs, they mean everything.
If you're in the middle of it, being like, why am I doing this?
It's normal. And the last 6 weeks, you really are questioning everything. Like, why did you ever sign up for this? I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's worth it. Those long runs, especially, are worth it.
Well, what pray tell do you have in store for people this week?
Well, we have our guest Paola on this week, and she's going to talk about her Peloton journey, which is a little bit different than other journeys we've explored before. So that's fun. And we also are going to be talking about Peloton's new November member love that they've got going on. This whole month, they've got different things they're doing. They're trying to really focus on the members and lots of very interesting feedback from the video I posted last week. Also, talking with different people this week, I have found that Peloton is having some weird issues with walks all of a sudden, like an outdoor walk. Peloton is going to be selling apparel on Nordstrom Marketplace. The Peloton blog has tips for training for a marathon on a treadmill, which I highly recommend you read. Peloton Guides on sale for $45. We're going to talk about Becs because this is exciting and it's happening like right freaking now.
Yes.
It's going. It's on. I'm so excited and scared and nervous for her. Like, it's like I'm doing it, but without any of the pain that goes with it.
Or travel.
Right. Right. Although I think that'd be such a cool adventure. Like if somebody could just like pay for everything and do all of my training.
I'd tag along.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd wait for you at mile 19 and mile 22.
Of every race.
And not in Antarctica.
I was like, I don't think that you would.
But I would wait for you back
at the hotel.
At the hotel in Antarctica.
There is no hotel in Antarctica.
Then
you would just be sitting on a plane.
I will wait for you on the plane. Bundled up. Nice and cozy.
We also have some new celebrity sightings, artist sightings to talk about. We have past guest updates, competitor updates, content updates, all kinds of good stuff to get to.
Awesome. And over on the Patreon, we're going to have a conversation about does Ozempic help with running?
Yeah.
I think that's fascinating. There's also lots of new features on the Strength Plus app, and we'll be talking about Tonal's attempt to disrupt the marketplace.
Go Tonal.
With a new campaign. So
give them hell.
It's all over there on the Patreon for you if you want to check that out. We've had a bunch of new people sign up. Hello to you.
Yes, hello.
I'm assuming if you're over there, you're also over here.
Makes sense.
It would be weird.
Right?
You're like, I'm only going to listen to Patreon.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also shameless plugs. They've already started, in case you couldn't tell. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, iHeart, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. While you're there, be sure and follow us so you never miss an episode. Maybe leave us a review. That is super helpful and greatly appreciated. You can find us, as we mentioned previously, on Patreon at patreon.com/theclipout. It's $5 a month, which isn't very much.
No.
In the grand scheme of things. What does it get you? Well,
and there's no tariffs.
There's no tariffs.
Right.
For now.
Yeah.
And what it gets you is if we get an episode early from our production team, you get it early, you get them ad free, and you get bonus content. We record an extra episode every week, 20, 30 minutes typically. We were very chatty last week.
Yeah, we were.
We had a lot to talk about because of the race. And that comes at you typically on Fridays, depending on our schedule. And you also get the pride of knowing that you helped us out. There's a lot of...
we appreciate it so freaking much.
So very much. A lot of expenses tied up in this thing, and
yes.
we greatly appreciate any help that you can throw our way. So you can also find us over on Facebook at facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, check out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/theclipout, where you can watch these episodes. And of course, we throw out a lot of links and articles at you week in, week out. You can sign up for our newsletter at theclipout.com and have those sorts of things delivered to you mostly weekly in your inbox, written by me.
Yes.
So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Peloton in the news.
So November is member love.
Yep.
Every member will be getting a visit from Pete Stern, new CEO.
Every single member. He's going to go visit 6 million plus members.
Door to door.
Everyone.
In alphabetical order.
He's like Santa.
Yes. And he will just, when you open the door, he will just cuddle you. He's
going to cuddle you, and he's going to give you a piece of Peloton and Lululemon branded clothing.
Wow.
Yeah. He's a really nice guy.
Well,
None of that is true. So
he's not a nice guy?
None of what he just said he was going to do is true.
It's like,
I don't know whether he's a nice guy or not.
Hot on the new CEO.
Just to be clear, he seems quite delightful. I have not had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Stern. Would love to.
Yeah.
Would love to have him on the show. But as far as like him going door to door, none of that is true.
Oh, okay.
I thought I should set the record straight. A little disclaimer.
So I guess we'll start with they are accepting nominations for November Member Love. Those are open.
Yeah, they are. And so
I nominated you.
I saw. That's so sweet. Thank you. I nominated a bunch of longtime listeners, but also longtime Peloton people who I have great admiration for. I could literally nominate hundreds of people, but my fingers got tired after the ones that I did. So I kind of stopped. But
I lost interest after nominating you.
I
was like, that seems like enough.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I do appreciate it very much.
I'm sure the people you nominated are good too. But I was just like,
they are very good.
That's enough on Instagram for me for a day.
Yeah. I'm surprised you even found Instagram.
Well, because I was doing
because I sent you the link.
You sent me the link as I was putting together the order of events for the episode.
The reason I found it is because it was in the list you sent me.
Yes. Other than that, I would have no clue.
None
whatsoever. There are also sweepstakes going on.
There are, yeah.
What can we win?
Well, this one is closed.
A visit from Pete Stern.
Door to door, bringing you clothing.
Yeah.
Again, don't think that's happening, but this one is closed.
Oh.
It is closed now. But what they did is they opened it up, and then you could talk about a friend you're grateful for and hashtag your comment with Peloton Sweepstakes.
I nominated you here too.
Why, thank you. Although it was already closed today, but thank you.
Well, I tried.
That. I appreciate it. It closed on the 10th. And 3 lucky winners are going to get a $100 Apparel e-gift card. So that is nice. I mean, you can get like a shirt for that.
Right.
And, shipping.
Yeah.
So
maybe.
Yeah, depends on what shirt you get. Yeah. But yeah, it's really cool that they're doing this, and I just have to say how amused I am by the fact that, like we talked about last week, about how this particular thing that they're doing is awesome, but it is also coming up against a lot of members feeling super frustrated with Peloton because they're longtime members.
Right.
And there seems to be this misunderstanding that because I talk about long-term members, people assume it has to do with the live classes, and it's really not that. What it is that the longtime members really, they're the reason that Peloton got big to begin with. It was the word of mouth and the word of Facebook.
When people talk about the cult of Peloton, it started with those people.
It did. And I mean, when I say OG, I am not talking about myself. I started in 2016. I am not an OG. I am close to an OG,
right? But
I am not an OG. OG is 2013, 2014, the Kickstarters, the original ones with the bikes. When they had a class and there were 50 people, there was no leaderboard. They had a chalkboard. That is an OG.
Right.
And they were around, they brought so many people into the Peloton community. Those are the ones that are disillusioned. Those are the ones that have been left behind and forgotten by Peloton. Mm-hmm. I get that a lot of people don't understand it because, you know, wherever you came into Peloton, whether that be 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024, whatever you have walked into has become your normal and you did not see it. And I get it. I get it. You know, it's not going to feel the same to you.
Well, in terms of like whenever you walked in, that's what you view as normal, which is human nature. Absolutely. It's not a character flaw. But that's also true of the company, right? Like there is almost nobody there from the beginning anymore.
So true.
It's almost entirely turned over.
Yeah. I mean, I can't, I'm sure there are people, but off the top of my head, I can't
Jenn
think of anybody. Yeah.
But
that's like it. There's a couple of instructors. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, everybody else is gone.
Yeah.
Times have changed, you know, a decade will do that.
For sure.
The world has changed a lot in 10 years. Yeah. So anyway.
So Nikki, I guess, brought this to our attention.
She did. Help her be Nikki.
The Peloton app seems to be having trouble tracking people's walks.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is any exercise that you do on the like adjust walk, adjust strength, you know, any of those, or if it just happens to be happening with walk. But what Nikki is experiencing and other people on the team have also experienced is that you start an activity and then you go and do it. And then maybe you like get caught up in something else. You know, like maybe you go for a dog walk and then halfway through your walk, you're talking to a neighbor. So you stop walking.
Right.
And now your heart rate comes down. Well, the app just decides you're done.
You are done now.
You are done. So you got to really watch that because there are natural, and granted, it is not the same as like a continuous, like hard workout, but sometimes you're going to get interrupted in the middle of things. I have not experienced this, but I have not really turned it on while we're walking the dog, for example,
right?
Because she's so slow. Like, I don't know that my heart rate ever gets up because she sniffs everything.
Right. Like, she's actually not slow. She's so...
Yeah, she dashes from sniff spot to sniff spot.
Right, but then she's constantly stopping to sniff.
Yeah, there's not a lot of flow to our walks.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've never turned it on. I sometimes will use my Apple Watch to turn on a walk because it senses that we're walking.
Yeah.
But I never turn on the Peloton one for that. But I do use it for just strength whenever I'm using the tonal because I like to get my minute credits for that.
Gotcha.
And I have not experienced this issue. However, I'm also not I'm not really stopping. So it's a little bit of a, apples to oranges comparison.
Yeah.
So curious if other people have seen it because Peloton is not tracking this as an official issue. So I'm curious to hear if other people are experiencing it.
For sure. I'm surprised the app doesn't hear a tonal instructor and then stop counting it towards the minutes.
No.
Absolutely not.
The funny thing is the whole point of those just whatever is that you can use any kind of equipment.
Yeah.
And so I figure, well, why should I not get credit for that?
Yeah.
I mean, other people are doing strength on the Peloton. I'm doing strength on the tonal. I want my credit.
For sure.
So
Peloton is going to start selling apparel on the Nordstrom Marketplace website.
I thought this was really interesting. I always forget that Jenn Cotter is also over apparel now because she's been the chief content officer forever.
Right.
So I often forget that in addition to that, she also oversees the apparel. But she does. And she recently revealed that Peloton is going to be testing the idea of offering its line to other retailers where its customers shop. And so that's starting with Nordstrom. So they're launching it kind of like a beta test, right? So this holiday season, we already know about Peloton and the Bike Plus. They're also going to be trying at the same time, they're going to be putting their apparel out at another retailer. So this will be super interesting. The only thing that they've done anywhere close to this is Lululemon. And even Lululemon is a little bit different because they're still selling it through their website.
Right.
So this is a little different.
And this is Peloton branded apparel. So this isn't collaborations with other brands.
This is not a collab.
This is specifically Peloton outfits.
Yes, it is. It is. And they've been having a lot of collaborations lately. You know, we talked last week about the Good Park, New York City. That's some kind of small New York City brand that I think is like focused on golf, but I don't know that.
Gotcha.
I think I just made that up, but they're definitely small and in New York City. And of course, they have the partnership with Lululemon, and they have other partnerships. Like they had the one with the little bags that we talked about last week too.
It was like Stony something.
Yeah, Stony Park.
There we go.
So there's those kind of things. But this is the first time they have said, sell our stuff in your store.
Yeah. I wonder if this means maybe you'll see less clearance, right? Instead of putting it on clearance, will they move the inventory to these third-party websites and maybe even sell it at a slightly reduced cost, but not as steep as maybe the clearance rates you see?
It'll be interesting. They've been doing a version of that in like a TJ Maxx kind of thing.
Right.
Like their clothing has shown up in TJ Maxx, so has their like accessories too.
Right. But those are normally super steep
I was going to say that's a very big discount though. And that's
TJ Maxx is kind of, I think, a little lower end than you typically associate with Peloton.
Absolutely.
With all due respect to people that shop at TJ Maxx.
Yeah. I mean, you can get some good deals there.
For sure.
Yeah, no, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but like when that's a very different approach than selling at Nordstrom.
Right.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this goes. I think I have no idea how it'll go, good or bad. I really don't, because at this point, there's so many people that used to buy their clothes like religiously.
Yeah. I mean, it used to be a big deal when there was a new drop, and now it's just like, whatevs.
Yeah. I mean, but they don't have nearly as many exciting colors and designs. And part of the difference that I know people that are new get tired of hearing, but back in the old days, you know, what part of the excitement about that was that you got to wear your new clothes to your classes and you got to wear them to special events. And it's so much harder to get into the studio now. And now everybody has the same outfits, you know, whereas before they sold them in such limited quantities that like, you have the American Heart Association. You must have gotten that instantly.
You got the cheetah print.
Yeah. Like, oh, remember that one?
I do.
And
that's why I said it.
So that's just very different than today, where you can, if you want it, you can get it.
Right.
You know, it's not that difficult, with the exception of living in another country. I know you folks have a whole different set of logistics to deal with.
The Peloton blog, which we haven't mentioned for a little while, has some tips for marathon training on a treadmill. I guess a lot of people are skeptical about, can you get a good enough training period in on a treadmill for a marathon?
Yeah.
Peloton, makers of a treadmill, say yes, you can.
Yes, but also I have to give Jeffrey a shout out because he was interviewed for this. And so he had a lot to say about this, and he was very excited about this on his social media. So I have to give him a shout out because he's the kindest person.
He was very nice.
So nice to get into it. The thing is that when you do have a treadmill, you can do the training. What's tough about it is making yourself do it. Here's what I found. If I left the house and I was far away, what's the point of stopping? You might as well finish. You got to at least come back.
Even if you do stop, you got to get home.
Right.
I guess you could call an Uber, but...
Yeah, that's true. You could. But like, I would never do that.
Yeah.
Like, unless I was hurt, you know?
Yeah.
Like the time I got hit by a car, that was different.
You called an ambulance, not an Uber.
I didn't. Some random nice person did for me. But yeah, except for something extreme like that. Now, on the flip side, there were many times I thought, I'll go home and finish on the treadmill. Not one time did I do that. Not one time.
I wasn't going to say it.
I mean, I will.
But
I will call myself out for it. There were other days that it was super hot outside. I started on the treadmill. I finished on the treadmill. Like I was able to get those runs in, but I can stay in one direction for a long time. But if I switch, if I like come home, it's over.
You're done. You're like,
over.
I'm home now. I'm sitting down and I'm in the shower.
But if you're out there in the wild and you ran 10 miles from your house, you got to come back the 10 miles.
Yeah.
You know, that's why I like an out and back, but it's really hard to find a safe route that you can do that long of an out and back.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, yes, you can do that on a treadmill. What is difficult about it is making sure you do things like make yourself go all the miles, finding something interesting to do the entire time if you're slow like me, and making sure you get the hills. That's a really hard thing. Like
because they hide them.
they're hidden hills.
There's so many hidden hills.
But in all seriousness, you can put like 1% on pretty easily and forget it's there. But to make yourself mid-run go to 4% and hold it, whew, that's a big tall ask 7 or 8 miles in. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, do I really have to do that hill? But it is so important. It is so important to do the hills. And I would never have thought I would say this, but I am grateful for all the hills around our house because you have no choice. You're out there. You got to go up the hill. You got to come down the hill. It's there.
Missouri has lots of obstacles, especially for women. We should also point out quickly that the Peloton Guide is once again on sale for $45. So if you're looking for a stocking stuffer,
this is great.
Or a doorstop.
This is so good, especially for people who want to be in the Peloton world.
Yes.
And they don't have the money for like a $2,000 piece of equipment because you can get all the classes with a guide membership. I'm not talking about your App Plus and your App Select or all that crap.
Right.
You get a guide membership, $24 a month. You have access to every single class except for like the scenic ones and the things like that are built into the equipment.
You can't do lane break.
No, can't do lane break.
But yeah, like I think this is like the best kept secret about Peloton. It is the best kept secret. If you are a cost conscious consumer and you don't want to spend $45 a month now? $50 a month?
I think we're up to $50 if you include tax for a lot of places. Yeah,
like you get yourself a guide and you do the guide membership and you get all the other stuff on whatever piece of equipment that you like, or almost all the other stuff for $25 a month. So like if you're looking to save money,
this is the way to do it.
Yeah. Or if you're a college student and you're bouncing around, you never know what piece of equipment you're going to have access to. Like this is, even if you never touch the guide, it's worth doing it just for that membership.
Yes, absolutely. You get everything, and you can do your yoga classes and your strength classes, and then you can go to the gym and log in on your app and do whatever is there. It makes it so much easier. So this is the way to go if you are cost conscious and you just want to have access to all the classes. This is the best way to do it. $45 for the guide and then $24 a month for everything.
Coming up after this, we're going to talk to Dr. Jenn. She has tips for finding balance now that school is in full swing. So
just replace with holiday. It's also that.
Yeah, it's kind of universal.
It is.
Yeah.
Busy parents.
Getting the psychological edge with Dr. Jenn.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Dr. Jenn Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. She was a 5-year national team member in rhythmic gymnastics and sports psychology for USA Gymnastics. It's Dr. Jenn.
Hello. Hi. So good to have you here. We have a question from Nikki Smith, and she is wondering how she can find balance during the back to school season.
Ooh,
I know.
I feel you, girl.
It's brutal.
I feel Nikki. Yeah. Like I've got twins who are doing college applications, and I get it. I totally get it. Look, I think that we have to be reasonable about what our obligations are in our non-Peloton life and what we need to do to feel sane and kind of meet the minimum boxes of kind of what we need for our bodies. So if you know that you're going through a period where for the next 3 weeks, as your kids acclimate back to school, that it's going to be heavy homework, that back to school nights, lots of events, all that sort of stuff. What you may want to do is alter your routine and make sure that you are not mean to yourself for not doing what you normally do. And I think that sometimes we are not good about giving ourselves permission to kind of roll with the punches. Because some of us, I don't know anyone else, some of us are rigid bitches.
Hashtag rigid bitch.
And we can be kind of rigid with our expectations of our workouts.
Maybe. Yep.
Now, other people aren't. And God bless those people. That's great. But when you get really rigid about your workout and and life kind of gives you a lot of obligations that you have to really work with figuring out, okay, what do I need to do to just maintain my fitness level, just maintain where I'm at for the next few weeks or whatever the period of time is. And I do think that there's also something to be said for showing your kids self-care, to be able to say like, hey, of course I'm driving you to school, but no, I'm not driving you to Tommy's house until my workout is over. You can wait the half hour until I'm done because this is part of my self-care. And I think looking at where can you say no and it's reasonable and appropriate, and kind of where you can say yes, and also what boundaries you can make to protect your time and your space and your workout and mental health.
That makes a lot of sense. And something you've also said before, not necessarily related to this, but just in general, but it was helpful to me, is that that to remember that it's not how you feel right now is not necessarily forever. I always have to remember that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. No, when we get into a difficult period of time and we feel, especially those of us that feel things really intensely, that it can feel like whatever you're feeling in that moment, you're going to feel that way forever. But one of the things we learn as we get older and as we're able to kind of look at our own patterns is that we have those big feelings and those feelings pass. They're like waves. Like they feel like they're going to knock us over and we're okay. And they go back into the ocean and then another wave comes. But like we survive the waves and it's going to be okay.
Absolutely. I was just thinking about a really good movie I saw called Waves.
Oh, really?
Starring Sterling K. Brown. St. Louis's own Sterling K. Brown and Peloton user.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But be in the right headspace. It is a gut punch of a movie.
Okay.
So, but it's really good.
Well, hopefully you were thinking about what Dr. Jenn was saying too.
Yes, because she said waves, and that's. Well, thank you very much for all that. Until next time, where can people wave at you?
People can wave at me on social media at Dr. Jenn Man, 2 N's on Jenn, 2 N's on Man, especially Instagram. And I post my Peloton workouts on my stories and also on Twitter.
Wonderful.
Which is now X, I guess.
It
Not
is.
to us, it's not.
Yeah, never.
Yeah.
It'll
It
always
will
be
always
Twitter.
be Twitter to me.
Exactly.
Agreed.
And you can wave at her, but don't poke her. That's weird. It's always weird.
I agree.
Always.
I agree.
Instructors in the news.
Becs Gentry has begun her Great World Race adventure, and she had to start a day early.
Yeah, so they had planned to start on Thursday.
But Antarctica said, you will do it now.
Well, and we've talked to other people we've had on the show before. They've done races in Antarctica, not this specific one, but they've done races in Antarctica. And you have a weather window, and you just kind of have to go with whatever the weather does.
Until the weather, it looks clear enough for you to get it in.
Get in and then get back out. And so they had planned to start on Thursday, the 14th, and they ended up having a window to get in on the 13th. So that is today. And they were flying in to start that race. So it is happening, which also means if you were planning to go to visit in Miami and watch her at the finish line, instead of that being on Thursday, it's now going to be on Wednesday.
So everything slides up if that happens.
Right. Because they have to, the whole point of this race
I guess,
is seven marathons,
days.
7 continents, 7 days. So 7 days starts early.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Great World Race has put together a Twitch channel. They do plan to show as much of the races as possible. Now, keep in mind that it is in difficult places like Antarctica.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is a little spotty in Antarctica, would be my guess.
Yeah. So I don't know how much of the races will actually be available, but they are doing their very best to be able to put it out there. You can track along with Becs through the Great World Race on Instagram or Facebook. You can also follow Becs' husband, and he will be putting up all of her updates out there as well.
Gotcha.
So lots of places. Austin is on top of it.
She's like, I love you, but you're not getting my Instagram access.
I don't think he wants it.
You wouldn't
would
let
be
me.
my guess.
He'd be like, no way.
You would break it.
Which is why you wouldn't let me use it.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking Austin can handle it, but he probably
But not me.
doesn't want to.
Yeah, I don't blame
my
him.
guess.
I can't even imagine.
No.
while we're talking about Becs, she actually canceled a class this week because she was just feeling the pressure. Don't blame her.
No, me either. I mean, how crazy would that be? Like, okay, so she was her like send off class was on Saturday, and on Friday she canceled a class. She like started to get all of her stuff together and like do the final packing, and she just kind of got super overwhelmed because she's leaving her child and she's got to go to this big trip, and it's a lot of pressure.
And it's even for an elite athlete, 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 continents. That's a lot.
And she finishes in Miami and then has to turn right back around and be back at Peloton teaching the next week. Yikes. So like no time off, not really. And that's a lot to ask of your body to be doing that.
But that class is going to be a walk.
I mean, it's scheduled as a run. We shall see.
He's like, well, it's a walk for me.
You know what? We would all be like, you do you, Becs.
Absolutely. Lululemon this week announced a collaboration with Disney. Now you'll notice that collaboration involves Lululemon and Disney, but not Peloton. So why are we talking about it here? Well, fascinatingly enough, the announcement, even though it's not Peloton related, involved Cody Rigsby.
Yes.
Huge Disney fan.
Who is a huge Disney fan and is a Lululemon ambassador.
Yeah.
But I thought it was fascinating that they like did this big thing on Peloton socials, and it was on Lululemon socials, not on Disney socials. And then,
which is odd.
Right?
Yeah.
And it didn't say Disney anywhere. They were like, something's coming.
They did the tease.
They did a tease with Mickey ears. So we thought it was Disney. But then the next day when it posted, nothing on the Peloton website, but it's on the Lululemon website. And then the other interesting thing is that Cody's not on the Lululemon website. So and I don't think that means anything other than how targeted they're being with their social media. I don't think it means like anything bad. I just find it fascinating, the choices that they make.
Yeah, we're not like, this is an outrage. It's more like, this is just a fascinating marketing way to attack it.
Exactly. Like they have all of their usual Lululemon models on the Lululemon website. Then on socials, they put Cody and this woman named Piper, who one of our tipsters, Jenn Kern, found out that she is a Canadian ice dancer skater. Like she had to go find her. She was in the Olympics for Canada.
Okay.
Because it just said like Piper, like I should know who Piper was. And I'm like, who the hell is Piper?
Yeah.
Luckily, tipsters are all over it. So we figured, when by we, I mean she, figured it out. So I feel like Disney / Lululemon really is trying to capitalize on these people who are known Disney love fans, right? And Lululemon ambassadors, which makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then they're putting that on socials. But then on their website, they're just focusing on their usual models. It's just fascinating.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Robin Arzon spoke at the Pennsylvania Conference for Women.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was such a thing, but it makes sense.
Neither did I, but I am neither a woman nor a Pennsylvanian.
Yeah, that's fair. And, Robin does a lot of these talks, and that makes sense. I did not realize that Robin is originally from Pennsylvania. So it says because in their little caption in Penn Woman, it says from her Philly roots to pursuing her athletic dreams and the inner work that's fueled her path to resilience. And of course, she talked about things like saying no thank you so that you can have your hell yeses. But I just thought that was cool.
Yeah. So we have some opportunities to meet instructors at places that aren't the studio.
There's a few stores left.
Yeah. So Jen Sherman and Rebecca Kennedy are going to visit Peloton Nashville.
Now, this is the store that just reopened. So they closed a store in Nashville. Now they're opening a store in Nashville at a different location, a much smaller footprint. My understanding is it's like a kiosk at the mall type of thing. Like it's not the big footprint that it used to have.
Yeah.
But I think, and this is just a theory, given that this is not the only instructor meet and greet we're going to see this month, I think this is part of the November Love for the Members Month thing.
Gotcha.
I think this is all connected.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. It's going to be in conjunction with the Black Friday sale. So if you could get some shopping done, you could meet Jen, you could meet Rebecca. Good time.
You're going to be standing in the line anyway.
Might as well.
Standing in the line for an instructor meet and greet.
Just like when you're at the studio, put your shoes down. Go shop. It'll hold your line. You come back.
Is that how that works?
I mean, it is at the studio.
Yeah.
It's all kinds of love at the studio.
Also, if you're in the Atlanta area, Alpharetta if you're being specific, but I looked it up. It is within the metropolitan Atlanta area.
I'm sure someone, well, it's not Chicago, so they probably won't get as angry about
Hopefully
it.
not. But Jess Sims will be doing an in-store event.
Yes, she will. And that'll be November 13th. And this one is interesting because you have an opportunity to win a Peloton gift card for $500. And they're also going to have like mocktails, juices, things like that. So it's a little bit different than what they're doing at the other store, which I also find fascinating.
Yeah, that they're not just here's the thing and they're just replicating it in place after place. Also, the one gets 2 and this gets 1.
And this one is billed as a wellness event, whereas the other one is like a meet and greet for Black Friday. Very interesting. Maybe this is an A/B test, but Barry's not there anymore. So I don't know. Do we even do A/B tests anymore?
They just do A's.
They just do A's.
They just do A's. And finally, for this segment, Camila Ramon is going to teach a Spanish language series on the bike, or should I say, show off my Spanish, El Bike.
So this is really cool because recently we had 2 strength series that came out in Spanish, and now this is going to be the first bike series. So that's pretty cool.
I am more than surprised, flabbergasted that it's taken this long.
No, that's fair. Yeah. Well, and it's not like there's never any Spanish speaking classes. It's just this is the first time it's been a series dedicated just to bikes.
But it's just such a highly spoken language.
There is no doubt that the entire Latin American and the Spanish speaking community within Peloton would agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like why would you not do that? I mean,
Yeah, like I said, flabbergasted that it's taken this long. So hopefully there are many more of these to come. It just seems like low-hanging fruit to scoop up new members.
I cannot disagree. I agree.
Peloton artist collaborations.
Peloton will be celebrating the CMAs with their Rising Country classes. I would like to commend them for resisting the urge to call it Rising Country.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Dropping the G and doing the little apostrophe, like that's.
I just assumed that was because isn't there like a Rising Country on like the satellite channels too?
I don't know.
I don't either. I haven't used it in so long.
Yeah,
it's been so long. No, that's the highway. That's the highway. So never mind.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's fair. Yeah, I would lose a little respect if we didn't have a G. So
yeah, good
call to keep that there.
That's a nod to the OGs.
It is.
I think that's what's going on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They almost called it Rosing Country.
Can I tell you that somebody actually put on my comments that part of the reason that the OGs have an issue with Peloton now is because they're so old, the programming isn't for them. I was like, how old do you think these people are?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, spin classes and strength are like perfect for all ages. So what are you even talking about?
Like if you're a runner and you start to have issues with your knees, they tell you switch to spin classes, right? Like it's,
I was blown away.
Yeah.
I was just like, social media, you never disappoint me.
Yeah.
I'm always amazed at what you say.
You never disappoint me in the end so much as you always disappoint me.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah.
like what did they think Peloton classes used to be in black and white?
I have no idea. I was just like, but what?
They used to be the original Peloton. You had to hand crank. It was like one of those bicycles you would see in artwork at Subway sandwich shops with a big giant front wheel.
I mean, really, I think we should just add a whole segment to you won't believe what they said this week.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, wow. What?
Oh, my word. Anyway, so there are Rising Country classes.
Back to Rising Country classes. Yeah, this is just in time for the 58th annual CMA Awards. And there's going to be a lot of people that are nominated for the CMA Awards that are going to be featured in the Rising Country classes that are coming up. So that's nice. Can you believe 58th? Wow.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. There's also going to be some lane break classes, so make sure you check those out. But yeah, there's a ton of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different classes.
Okay. Coming up after this, we have a new celebrity sighting, and we will share it with you, so stick around.
Peloton Celebrity Sightings.
We have a new celebrity sighting. This time it is Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah.
And she is your new Elphaba in Wicked.
Yes.
And she posted...
She posted like a whole behind the scenes from a day on the set at Wicked, but it started with her on her Peloton tread.
Yeah.
Which I thought was
Tread
pretty
or Tread
cool.
Plus?
I'm pretty sure it was a tread.
Gotcha.
And I'm pretty sure because I remember it having like the red line down the middle.
Okay.
I don't remember it having the slats. Could be wrong.
Yeah.
It's a very brief sighting.
Well, maybe for Wicked 2, they'll get her a Tread Plus.
You never know.
She needs a new manager. Negotiate these things.
So I wondered if Peloton has some kind of like collab going with Wicked because, you know,
Matty Giacomo's been all over it.
He has. I mean, he went to the premiere and he went to like an early viewing of it. He also like did modeling for their clothing line that they have for Wicked.
Yeah.
And then he just went to the world premiere the other day. And I don't know what city it was in, but they were all dressed to the nines.
Yeah.
All the stars were there. And he is, of course, very plugged into the Broadway scene.
For sure.
So I don't know if it was a Peloton collab or if it was a Matty Giacomo collab.
Or just Matty digs it and he's got the juice to get into that stuff.
And
Good for him.
So go Matty.
For sure.
It's very cool.
Past guest update.
So some sad news for CJ Albertson. We found out that just a few hours before he ran the New York City Marathon, that he had a friend pass away.
He did. His friend Miguel Marin, who had been one of his former athletes at Clovis Community College, had passed away in a car crash in Fresno County on Saturday. So my understanding is that CJ Albertson found that out like just 24 hours before the race.
Yikes.
CJ had hoped to go into that race as the first U.S. male to finish, and he ended up coming in 10th place, which is never a bad thing. But I think that given that he was dealing with so many emotions while running is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's a lot to take into a race like that.
Yeah. And he talks all about it on a podcast that he did, the Sidious Mag podcast, which he's been on numerous times. Best wishes to CJ and Miguel Marin's family and friends.
Checking out the competition.
Hydro is going to release a new smart rower, but here's the catch.
It's also kind of dumb. No, I'm just kidding.
You will not need a subscription to utilize it.
Isn't that interesting? So it allows you to have virtual destination classes, but no instructor-led workouts.
Okay.
So I just am fascinated by that, you know, Hydro really made a name for themselves by being the first to the market with a smart rower. But then I know that when Peloton came out with that rower, it kind of cut into that.
Sure.
Not to mention, of course, the stupid pandemic cut into everybody.
Right.
So it's interesting to see how all of these companies are kind of fighting back and finding their own ways to like rename or reframe what they're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
So interesting.
New content.
It is time for the TCO Top 5. You suggest the best classes of the week, and then we decide who's right. How's that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
How about you say nominated by you? We celebrate them.
And nominated by you, we celebrate them by telling you who was right.
Okay. See, it's that you don't need to say that part.
Oh.
You
just told me to say that part.
But no, not the, and then we say it back to you. That you don't need to say.
Oh.
Because we're doing it. You don't need to describe what we're doing. It's like we're reading our notes to you of what happened this week.
Okay, number 1. Favorite ride. Before you start, everyone needs to know if you had a different favorite ride, you were wrong.
You were wrong.
Dana Hirsch Fredericks says otherwise.
She does.
She is correct.
We believe Dana and we believe Joe Vogley.
We have deemed this to be true.
It is true.
Yes.
It has been noted. So this was the 30-minute epic sing-along ride that Jenn Sherman taught on November 10th. And people loved it because a whole bunch of other instructors were in the class.
Look at that. Cameos.
I know. Andy Spear, Mariana Fernandez, who always shows up for people. Always. Marcel Dinkins, and of course, Jess Sims. And they were all there. And Dana Hirsch Frederick said it's the best 30 minutes everyone needs. And then Joe Vogley said this was her favorite ride and she really loved all of the instructors being in the class, Marcel Dinkins' vibe was 90% of the reason she enjoyed the class. But Jenn's sing-along rides are always so much fun.
Number 2, your favorite yoga conditioning class.
All right, so I took this class live, so I might have had a little bit of to do with why this is in here. But
you are really, I feel like you are abusing your power.
I just, somebody asked me what I liked, and this was one of the things I liked because it was a yoga class live with Mariana Fernandez on November 2nd. And I had no idea.
We should say you didn't take it. You took it live in studio.
Oh, I was in studio.
Right. Like
yes.
You didn't just take, you're like.
You can every once in a while see my very awkward poses in the left-hand corner.
I was a big fan.
So this class surprised me so much because when I hear yoga.
Right.
I thought, oh, this will be perfect before I run a marathon tomorrow.
You specifically took it because you're like, this will be cake.
Yes. I really did not hear the emphasis on the word conditioning.
Right.
So I heard yoga.
Right.
What I should have heard was yoga and hold difficult poses in uncomfortable positions. So everything's going to hurt. That's what I should have heard.
Yes.
But I didn't.
Maybe that's why you did so well in the marathon.
I was ready.
Because you had conditioned yourself.
Mariana woke up all of my running muscles. Like at the end, Mariana actually drops an F-bomb. And it was due to the stupid foam block. And we held it for a long time. And she was like, let's get rid of that thing. Yeah. So she called it the effing thing. And we all cheered because we were ready. It's a great class.
Number 3, favorite yoga plus Pilates.
Okay. So I've talked about this one before. This was the first time they've had this on the platform.
Wait, you're in this again?
Well, okay. So, but it wasn't just me. Elizabeth Schlossberg also recommended this class because it was a 45-minute yoga and Pilates, and Elizabeth said it was hard in the best way. I also added that the yoga was really nice and relaxing between the tough sets of Pilates. Listen, I have been in a recovery place this week, so I had to take some recovery classes.
Oh, yeah. All this abuse of power. They're going to appoint you Attorney General. Okay, favorite music-themed ride. If this is Taylor Swift, I think we're going to have to do an investigation.
So Charlotte Weidenbach taught this class, and it was a 45-minute metal class on 11/9. It was the first 45-minute metal class taught by Charlotte in English.
Okay.
Billy Lenore loved it. He said Charlotte is the best. He
loves the metal.
He does love the metal. Charlotte's metal classes are always a hit, and this one has true metal tunes to get you pumped from artists like Disturbed and Evanescence. It's 38 minutes of cycling, 2 climbs, 2 jogs, and 3 sets of intervals. Okay, Tom, listen. Before you start in on how Evanescence is not metal.
I mean, I like Evanescence.
I know you do.
It's one of the first people. I booked Evanescence's first ever show in St. Louis.
I know you did.
That was me.
I know. But
fun fact, I offered them 30% more than they asked so I could poach it from another club.
And it worked.
So I am not anti-Evanescence, to be clear.
I know.
But I do not consider them metal.
I have to agree. I don't really feel like Disturbed is either.
Yeah, they're more hard rock.
Yeah. But
I guess they've played Ozfest and stuff. So, I mean, yeah. But I
will also say, when you are also comparing and contrasting it with
what Peloton normally plays for people,
it is definitely metal.
But I don't know what Evanescence is about. I don't think they consider themselves metal.
I don't think they do.
I don't even feel like it's an insult. I think they'd be like, well, we're not metal.
I know. I get it.
Okay.
Maybe it's just the only metal... It's the only bands that the person writing the article, Tina, recognized.
Well, but
that's possible.
It could be, but that's not a reflection on Tina. Evanescence she did not pick the music.
Also true.
Evanescence is in that class, whether Tina lists it or not.
I know. I was just saying maybe she pulled out like the one that was like the least. And I don't know. I haven't even looked at the playlist.
Yeah.
I'm not picking on Tina. I'm just saying it's also possible that she picked the lighter of the fair.
And I'm saying the problem isn't that Tina...
You're like, it never should have been in the class to begin with. I got it.
All she did was report the facts.
I agree. And although there are many that don't agree with reporting the facts anymore. I appreciate when people report the facts.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Finally, number 5. You're unstackable. What did you recommend for people here?
It was not me.
Oh, it wasn't you. How about, what a refreshing change of pace.
Karen Smith recommended this. And
Smith? Is this really just you? Are you just creating aliases?
Karen Smith has been a listener forever.
You took my sister's name and then put Smith on it. There.
Well, that's very rude to Karen. She nominated Katie's 4-day split plus row, the entire program, because it starts with strength and then it ends with a cardio hit on the row. And she said by the time that she got to the row, her arms were like jelly. She's never used her arms and shoulders so much.
Okay. That's why it's an unstackable.
It is.
Now we will take a look at the goings on this week at Peloton. We will start with Marathon Around the World, which we talked about a little bit.
We did. Yeah.
And so I guess we'll gloss over that.
Well, I do want to say that what we should talk about here is that Peloton is highlighting classes that are in all the destinations that Becs will be running.
Okay.
So there's like a new series of classes, and it's like they're going to be dropping on demand on the 15th. So this Friday we'll see it, but it's going to be following where she's going.
Okay.
It's not necessarily like Becs, because I don't know who's teaching it.
Right.
But what I do know is that there are going to be classes in all 7 locations where she is.
Do you think they gave her a GoPro? They were like, why don't you get us an Antarctic scenic run while you're there?
No, I think their new scenic runs are the drone ones that we talked about, where they just take footage and talk. And that's what I think these are, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's very different from what we've seen in the past. We
also have Like Nobody's Watching.
It's a new signature series, and it's from Jeffrey. I think it's his first signature series. This is the second or third installment in that signature series, and it's like a bunch of fun songs that would make you dance like nobody's watching. That's the idea. And it's taught in German, and the next one drops on November 12th at 5 p.m. British time. Yeah, I'm just going to go with British time.
Okay. I will let you.
Okay.
And we should remind people that Christian Vandeveld is back.
Yes. And he's got 2 new classes coming up, that 60-minute pro cyclist race simulation. And then that will be that takes place on November 17th. And then there's a 45-minute real route that is coming up on the 17th. Those are both like in-person classes that people can book. It's been a long time since that's happened.
Yeah, absolutely. The turkey burn was announced. Everybody wants to know what the turkey burn is going to be, and we now know.
We do. I am amused that they have a little timeline here, and they kind of show the different things that have happened that are of significance with the turkey burn.
Think they took that from your timeline?
I mean, I don't know. But
you know what we should have done?
I guess if Moms of Peloton can take credit for Adrian being on doing the meditations, then I can take credit for a timeline that Peloton is using.
So,
why not?
You know what we should have done?
What's that?
You know what map makers do?
What's that? Oh, they put little things in.
They put fake streets on their maps, and it'll be like a little like cul-de-sac that nobody, like they don't like create a thoroughfare that you might accidentally look for. It's like you go down a road that goes down a road that goes down a road that goes to a road that goes just absolutely nowhere. And then if another map maker steals their work, instead of going out and doing their own surveys, they'll scoop up that fake road, and they'll know. The original map maker will know you
included
sir,
Route AA, which is not a real road.
Right.
Therefore, you stole my map.
Yes.
Pay up.
So you should have snuck in some fake things on the timeline.
That would be really funny.
Yeah.
There's so few people left that know the actual timeline.
For sure.
But this year, it's going to start on November 27th. And they're kind of theming everything around meals this year. So like, for example, the meditation that Chelsea is doing on the 27th is called a gratitude gathering.
Okay.
And then on Thursday, November 28th, they're going to have a fit family with Adrian and Jess Sims. They're going to have a turkey trot with Kirsten. They're going to have a post-meal walk with Jess King. That's new this year. 10-minute toot walk. And then they're going to have a 20-minute turkey burn row with Alex K.
Okay.
And then that's all on demand. Live is called The Feast. Okay. This is going to take place at 7:30 a.m. Eastern time on Thanksgiving. But here's the deal. 45 minutes with Adrian, Andy, Camila, Logan, Rad, and Rebecca. What the hell are they doing?
I don't know.
Like, are they teaching? Because somebody said it was strength. Maybe it is. I am not saying it's not.
Right.
But is it? Or is it like a mixture of I am so curious to know what that is. New this year, obviously.
Yeah.
Then also that day, there's going to be the Turkey Burn Run with Alex Toussaint, Turkey Burn Ride with Robin, and then Friday, a Yoga Flow with Kira. And then brand new this year, Saturday, November 30th, a Jingle Jog with Adrian. And it will be live outdoor. Second live outdoor class.
Interesting.
Ever. So trying some new things out, Peloton. I love it.
Yeah, no, love to see new stuff.
And I really appreciate, as much as I was teasing about the timeline, I really genuinely appreciate that one, on their timeline, they said 2023 broke 2 world records and our platform, sad face. And then in the caption, they said, at its core, this has always been about you. Last year we broke records together, but also our platform. We don't give up when things go wrong, so let's do it again and let's do it better. Very nice. Yeah. Very nice sentiment.
For sure. But that is not the only thing going on in November.
No, there's a lot going on in November. Well, first of all, let's see. I'm pulling up my link. The Goodnight Peloton new evening mindfulness classes. So this was interesting. And I know we're going to talk about this more I think we're talking about it in the bonus episode.
No, I have the Goodnight Peloton next.
Oh, I thought you had the Veterans Day classes.
Well, Veterans and Goodnight, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, we will talk about it in a second, but the Goodnight Peloton classes that are bringing up are meditations that are done by some new instructors that have never done meditations before. In a moment, we will talk about whose voice you most love to hear. That was fun. They are evening meditations specifically. We also have new stroke rate row classes that are going to help you with your rowing performance. So kind of like they say to run to a rhythm, right, and you do the same thing with your rowing. You try to get really good at hitting the same stroke rates over and over again, because that makes you a better rower. So that is going to be taught by Alex K, Ash, and Katie.
Veterans Day is over, but there were classes that commemorate that are still available for people.
There are, yeah. So they had 2 classes that I think that were on demand. So one was on demand with Christine. It was a 30-minute, not 30-day.
That's
a long class.
It's like basic training.
Right.
Yeah.
30-minute Veterans Day ride with Christine that was taught on the 11th. That dropped on the 11th. And then taught on the 11th was a 30-minute Veterans Day run with Marcel Dinkins. Not listed on this list, though, was a class that Alex Toussaint taught that had all veterans in the class. And so I don't know if it was maybe not themed as Veterans Day,
right,
but he had all veterans in it. So that's why it was not included on this list. But I wanted to make sure we included it as well.
Absolutely. And at long last, the Goodnight Peloton evening meditations.
Yes. And I'm just checking because I pulled this early today and it didn't have like a ton of answers on it. The percentages have not changed. Coming in at 67% on Instagram is Adrian. That's whose voice from the new instructor that people liked. That doesn't surprise me, just because people have been asking for Adrian to do meditations for years.
Even I know that.
Yeah. But I do have to give an honorable mention that whenever I posted this on Facebook, I forgot to disable that you can add other vote buttons. So I didn't disable it. And, Susan Burton Dutton, love her. She sneakily added one of the other instructors, which was Dennis, but he's already a meditation instructor.
He's been doing it.
Yeah. But she added him and he vastly outweighed everybody else on Facebook. So Dennis took the win by a lot on Facebook. But over on Instagram, Adrian is the king.
Gotcha.
In case you missed it,
Peloton is celebrating Days of Gratitude by offering deals on apparel.
They are. And so they did something like this last year. It looked a little bit different, but the gist is the same in that there's deals that are going to be dropping daily. The very first one that dropped was like sweaters that like they look like something. They look like an ugly Christmas sweater.
Ugly Christmas sweaters.
I don't know how else to say
That's what they're going for. Yeah.
And they have like different versions of that. And so the idea being you can collect them all. And I doubt anyone will, but they're fun. They're fun to like give your friends, your Peloton friends who are super into Peloton. And you can buy them like in a set where you can get a hat that matches the sweater. So that's like a cheaper way to do it. So that's fun. And then for day 2, which dropped today, they had Beat the Winter Chill. And so they had these really white, they look like they're puffy and soft, furry, white accessories.
Okay.
So one was like a Peloton hat, one was a big white puffy bag, one was like old school mittens.
Okay.
And one was like a beanie hat.
Gotcha.
So all of them had the same kind of look to them and they're all like winter white.
Gotcha. And by the time you hear this, since it's Days of Gratitude, there will be more. There will be more.
Yes.
Yes.
So just keep an eye out over on the Apparel website or the Apparel Instagram and you can stay on top of those. And that way, if you find one that you like, you can snap it up right away.
And coming up after this, we've got our interview of the week with Paola, so stick around.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
Joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube is Paola. Hi, how's it going?
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me.
We're excited about it. I really like to start off these conversations by understanding how Peloton came into your life originally, how you found out about it, why you decided to try it. And so let's just start there.
Yes, what I found Peloton because we were moving to a new house, we were renting, and the owners had to leave the country, and they offered us to rent the treadmill with the house.
Oh.
So I just started lifting weights in the house we were before, but I had like kind of a small gym in my garage.
Okay.
So the idea of having like a new gym with a treadmill and everything, it was really exciting. So we decided to give it a go.
Wow.
And like a month after that, I got pregnant. So it was my third child, and the doctor put me like a kind of rest for the first trimester. And then when I was on my second trimester, I started working out again. And I decided to add some cardio into my workouts. So I kind of started taking classes. And I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting more excited about the Peloton classes than lifting weights.
Oh.
And I used to love lifting weights. I lift since I was 60 years old. I started lifting weights.
Okay.
So it was something like a click. And I wanted to look forward for the Peloton classes. And they launched something like 7 weeks to your 5K. And I got excited and I said, okay, I'm going to look into the internet and find, I will find a race to do this 7-week preparation for a 5K. I was 4 months or 5 pregnant.
Oh.
And I had no running background. So it was like, everybody was like, my husband was really concerned. He was like,
yeah, I don't blame him.
Are you sure you should be running like pregnant right now? Why don't you wait?
Yeah, like why are you starting this now? Like why?
Yes.
I have to ask because I know we're going to get a follow-up question about this. Did you speak to your doctor about the plan?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And thank you. You just saved us like 45 emails.
Yeah.
yes. No, I got asked a lot about it, and I did talk with him. And he said it was fine. I was active before the pregnancy, lifting weights and moving around. And he said, as long as you listen to your body and everything feels good, you're not pushing yourself like too far, like feeling some weird pain or something. that's not what we want. We want to move the body, feel good, and kind of have a healthy pregnancy.
Yeah.
We don't want to like go too far.
Right.
And I kind of been working out since I've been 16 years old. So I kind of know how to approach, even though running was something new.
Gotcha.
For sure. That makes total sense.
It's very different from lifting weights at the gym.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the classes with Peloton were really nice because they have this program really well structured, where you have like, okay, you can put like, I will do 2, maybe 3 days, and they structure the workouts for you. And it's really nice. It was like for beginners, for people who had never run before. So I was kind of into that. And yeah, that was my first experience with Peloton.
So I'm just curious because like normally women seem to do this in the other direction. Like they love cardio and then eventually fall into strength training, where it's when you say you decided to add cardio after however long of doing strength. Like, so I'm just curious as a woman, what was the road that had you start with strength training? Because it's counterintuitive. We don't see that too terribly often.
Well, I kind of started weight training like really early when I was in high school with a group of friends. It was more like hanging out at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that I really like working out, moving my body. It was good. I was more focused, had more energy. It was nice. And I kind of enjoy to like having a healthy life since very young. So yeah, that was how I found my love for exercising.
That's awesome.
It was a way to hang out with my friends.
Yeah.
From high school. Yeah.
And when it comes to Peloton, another interesting thing about your journey is it's unique that a lot of people find the Peloton bike before they find the Peloton tread. So it's also interesting that you found the Peloton tread. And I have to say another unique facet of your story is that you were renting the tread from a person. I don't think I've ever heard that. And we have done a lot of interviews.
Done a lot of these.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. It was, I think I like to say it like it was meant to be for me to find that treadmill and to start my running journey that way.
Yeah.
Because I got asked through my Instagram sometimes for different persons, like, how do I start running? How did you start running? What can I do? And I always say, I started in a treadmill. I started with Peloton. And I always recommend Peloton classes because that's what make me fall in love with running.
I was just curious how you transitioned from, I know that they had the kind of couch to 5K kind of program. That's what originally got you looking at races. But how did you go from a 5K to longer races? Like, what was that transition like?
Because I was pregnant. It was because I was so new into running. I didn't have running background. So running 1 mile for me, it was a big milestone.
Yeah.
Right.
It was something that started to build up. I even, my Instagram page started called From Prego to 5K because that was the name of the Instagram. So my goal was to be able to run 5K because I couldn't run even 1 mile. I remember the first classes, I was just so focused on finish the class.
Yeah.
20 minutes, 30 minutes. It was what I needed to do that day. So it was kind of nice to see the progress, how you're getting better and better. And then just start to see, today I run 1.5 mile. maybe next week I will run too. I will try to run too. I started to be interested in looking at the distance I was running during the classes. So that got me like excited to keep pursuing maybe running longer. But because I was pregnant at the moment, I didn't want to go like far past the 5K.
Yeah.
But kind of had that thought, like the feeling that maybe after the pregnancy, I will go for it. But for now, I'll wait. And now I started to enjoy the pregnancy. I was so happy that I was able to meet my goal of running the 5K. And then I did a little series that they do here in Houston. And it's like you complete 3 different races and you won a medal for completing like the challenge of 3 5Ks. So I stick to that goal. And that was my running journey during my pregnancy, finishing the series. So 5K.
You did all 5Ks while you were pregnant, and you didn't start.
I did like 5.
And you didn't start till your second trimester.
I did 4 5Ks and 1 10K. But it was a virtual challenge. Create awareness about mental health. So I did the race. It was a virtual race. They send you the beep and everything, and then you do it virtual whenever you want to.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, if you had moved into a house with a bike instead of a tread, do you think you'd be doing a bike right now, or
I don't know. Maybe.
Or if she walked in the house with a really nice walk-in freezer.
Yeah. She'd become a world-renowned chef.
Or a serial killer.
Oh, that's a dark way to go.
Well,
that's
we
dark.
paused a Dateline to do this recording.
That's true. Okay, so kind of getting back to the transition to longer races. So you stuck with the shorter races during your pregnancy, which makes total sense. At what point did you go back to like running on the treadmill? Because I mean, postpartum is so different for everybody. You said that was your 3rd child. Yeah, that's not an easy road, right?
I feel like she just handed the baby to her husband and was like,
"I'll be on the tread.
I'll meet you at home. I'm running home. That's what I'm doing."
I was kind of looking for the first 2 months because I had like this really active pregnancy. So I had a C-section because my 2 prior babies were C-section. I had no option there. So I had to get a C-section, and I had to rest for about 8 weeks. So I was kind of like so looking forward to start running again and to start moving again, because my body was so used to be active. And then you suddenly are like in bed for 3-4 days because of the C-section. So yeah, it was kind of hard the first weeks. But after that, I kind of started to get into it again. And when I had to go for my doctor, I started hopping again in the treadmill. And this time, that was on around November. So before that, I spent a lot of time looking for what race I was going to do next. So I have all this plan in my head, waiting for the moment to start working out again to do a half marathon.
Wow.
And the half marathon here in Houston was the Aranco half in January. So I had like maybe 2 months to prepare for the half marathon. So it was a challenge, and I didn't have any running experience, like how to structure a cycle or a plan to be able to run that distance. So I kind of hop into Instagram looking for tips and for recommendations from coaches that have platforms there, and they maybe recommend and do some tips and everything. So that's how I run my first half marathon, like following tips on Instagram. And with a friend that I convinced her to start like running with me. She had no running background, and she said, "Okay, let's do it." And we started to train together for 2 months for this half marathon, and we ran it together in January.
Wow.
It was really nice. When I crossed that finish line, it was like I got goosebumps. It was so emotional to be able to meet that goal that I set my mind to it. And that's why I kind of love running. I love like doing this cycles, preparing for meeting certain goal that you put yourself. Maybe it's completing the race, or maybe it's hitting certain time. Whatever it is, when you're able to do it, it's like it's surreal. It's I don't know how to explain it.
It's a lot of work goes into it, and I hope that means that you feel the pride of being able to accomplish the goal that you had set out to do. That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what was next after half marathon? Is that your longest race to date?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot for starting off with never having run before. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I'm planning on keeping on doing half marathons for now. I want to improve my time in it, and I kind of enjoy that distance. Some people sometimes ask me, like, why don't you do a marathon? Like, and then I think, like, do I need to run a marathon to be a runner? No. So definitely not, and that's not my plan just yet. Maybe in 1 year, 2 years, I don't know if I will have the desire to run a marathon.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But today, I kind of love the half marathon distance, and I enjoy it.
I think that's great. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's important to actually enjoy it.
It is.
Right? Like
it is.
I think some people get so focused on the challenge and pushing themselves, which I get in the abstract. I myself have none of those feelings, but I understand why other people might. But like also like it's okay to just like, this is what I enjoy. It
is. And I will say when I started on my running journey, I was kind of convinced by somebody else to try the half marathon distance, and I did, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, it was hard, and it was super like
it's like just the right amount of challenge for you.
It was. And now I am training for my first marathon. I've like walked a marathon on my treadmill, but I've never done a race. And so I'm in the very end stages of that. I'm going to be.
And she's miserable.
I am. Like I'm in tapering now. Tapering is okay. But like the last few weeks where the distances were so long, like I do not recommend for a person who wants to have balance in their life. Like it's, because I am a slow runner, and I know there's nothing wrong with that at all. But when you are a slow runner, it takes so long to do the miles, you know? So if you're if you're a 15-minute or longer mile person like I am, you're going to be out there training for 5 and 6 hours at a time. That's a lot a day, you know, and you might have other things, like you have kids or, you know, a job that you need to do that might be difficult to keep up with everything. So I definitely think that having done the training for both right now, my headspace is very much half marathon is awesome. Like marathon is a lot of commitment. There's nothing wrong with it. I think that it's amazing that people can do it. And at the same time, I also think that it's a less time sensitive commitment to be able to do a half marathon. And it's also still a major physical challenge. For sure. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
So what is... Oh, sorry. What is your leaderboard name?
It's nothing special. It's Paul Beku, and it's kind of put together my complete name.
Okay.
the first two letters of my first name, second name, and last name.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
And do you have a preferred instructor?
I do like Becs. Gentry, yeah, I like her.
Yeah.
And I kind of relate to her in the motherhood. And I don't know, there's something there that I like about her, and her classes are very challenging.
Yeah.
So I like her. And I do like Jess. I remember a class with her that something that she said stick to me.
Are we talking Just
That-
King or
right.
Just Sims? Just King or Sims?
Yes, Sims.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
She said something in the class. It was one of my, I don't remember. It was like an interval session. So we were kind of getting to the end of the intervals, and it was hard. It was really hard. And I was about to quit, like to put stop to the treadmill. And she said, like, this is hard, but you're strong and you can do hard things. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. And I finished my interval. And since then, that phrase has become like a mantra. When I'm training or doing something, like it feels hard during a race, when you get to the point that it just start doubting yourself, like thinking, I cannot keep going. I need to stop. Something hurts. Whatever it is you're thinking, I kind of like to repeat, you can do this. You have worked hard for this. And then I always think about what she said, like, you can do hard things. And yeah, so I really like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you have any advice for people just now entering the world of Peloton?
Yes. Enjoy it. Enjoy the classes. Connect with the class. Listen to what the instructor is saying, because they're there to like build you up and to help you keep going.
That's
Awesome.
great.
And finally, what's going to happen if you move?
Yeah, I know. That's what I was wondering.
Well, I already moved from the house.
Okay.
And I bought my Peloton.
Okay.
It was like, I need one. And I bought it. And now I'm so happy with my Peloton. Yeah.
You have your very own.
That's
You don't have to borrow anybody's
fantastic.
anymore. That's awesome.
I love that.
Yeah.
What a great story.
What a happy ending. What a
It
nice
is.
little bow we put on this story. We didn't know the answer when we asked the question, which is always dangerous, but everything turned out okay. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us. Before we let you go, let everybody know where they can find you in all the places if you would like to be found.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I was kind of really excited when Crystal texted me and invited me to do this. It's my first time doing a podcast or interview, so I was really nervous about it. But I'm glad I was able to be here today with you guys. And yes, people can find me on Instagram through Paola Runs.
Paola Runs.
That's where I post
Awesome. And we'll
my
put
daily runs and motivation, little motivation for people who it's getting into running.
awesome. And we'll put that in the show notes and stuff because you spell it a little differently. And so that way people can find it. So.
Yeah. Make sure people can
Okay.
find you. Yeah.
But thank you so much for talking to us today. We really appreciate it.
It's been a real joy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
The Clip Out.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. Until next time, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on all the social media channels and the Peloton leaderboard, not out on the streets running, at Clip Out Crystal.
And you can find me on Threads at Tom O'Keefe Jr. or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. You can find the show online at facebook.com/The Clip Out. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and of course, don't forget our Patreon, where we're going to go record
Right now.
So $5 a month, you get bonus content, ad-free episodes, and you help us out. So anyway, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling
And running.
and rowing.
Bye.